And we are all set. I'm going to come backwards from 5, and we'll do it here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Great to have you with us on the program today. As mentioned, our special guest is Camilla Gray Nelson, author of the book Lipstick and the Leash, Dog Training a Woman's Way. Her website is lipstickandtheleash.com. More information on the book and some of the products that we'll be talking about in the program at dogtalkdiva.com. Camilla, welcome to This Week in America. Great to have you with us on the program.
Thank you, Rick. Good to be here.
Well, there's so many interesting things to talk about, and I want to go back to the beginning because you've been doing this for like over 20 years, and suddenly you realize that, hey, maybe dogs become a perfect example, a place to start to practice new and better relationship skills. So what you learned in actually working and training dogs, people can apply to working in relationships in real life.
It's amazing. I first realized that when I was doing house calls in my early career, and I would walk up the sidewalk. I knew I had a problem dog inside, and then I heard the mom screaming at the kids, screaming at the dogs, going, there's a relationship here.
Yes, yes. It's interesting because the name of the book, Lipstick and the Leash, Dog Training a Woman's Way, I was interested to find out in reading the book that 3 out of 4 households leave dog training and care to the woman, so she usually is in charge. And this sort of evolved, this concept of writing a book for the woman, because you found that, these came from your experiences in working over 20 years in dealing with dog training in working with women.
That's right. The statistics bore themselves out in my own experience as a dog trainer. 3 out of 4 phone calls for help with dogs came from women.
Wow. That's just, you really, I guess when you think about it, it's like, yeah, they go ahead and take care of that, but never really would have thought about that. The book, Lipstick and the Leash, Dog Training a Woman's Way, you start off by something, and this is interesting. In fact, it's the name of a chapter. There ain't no lassie. We all have a lot of misconceptions, don't we, about dealing with dogs. We have this picture from our childhood that this is how dogs are supposed to act.
Now, Rick, we're dating ourselves.
Oh, that's true.
That was our childhood.
Not that I remember Lassie. I remember my parents talking about it, but of course I have no idea who Lassie was.
No. But in all seriousness, the characteristics of dogs that are portrayed in movies, in books, on television, all paint a picture of a benign, loving, loyal companion animal who would rather save you from the well than look after their own interests. And the opposite is quite true. These are animals that happen to live with human beings. And because we are raised to think of dogs in this benign way, unfortunately, 2 things happen. Number 1, our expectations of what our dogs should do for us is unrealistic. You love me. Don't you love me? Why don't you obey me? I thought you loved me. The connecting those two, because that's what Lassie did. And I forget what the other thing was, but it's absolutely affected how we deal with dogs. The other thing was that I just forgot, and now I remembered, is that we tend to relate to dogs in a way that is not very cautious because we think they're Lassie. And when we have dog bites or dog injuries, we're shocked and horrified, when the reality is we live with animals.
Well, and that's interesting, and you mentioned that a couple times there. So often we think of an animal, in this case we're talking about dogs specifically, as a family member and try to treat them as a family member and maybe actually lose sight of the fact that they, in fact, are animals.
They are family members, but they're of the canine variety.
Yes, yes.
And a healthy respect for what dogs are, where they come from, what they can and will do, is a healthy respect that keeps us healthy.
You talk about in the book Lipstick and the Leash, Dog Training a Woman's Way. The book is available at Amazon, by the way. I mentioned the introduction, an award-winning book, a gold medal winner, category Animals and Pets, the 2012 Living Now Awards. The book is available, as I said, at Amazon, the website lipstickandtheleash.com. You mentioned in the book 4 myths. As I'm going through there, I'm thinking, yeah, we all sort of believe these. One is, number 1, the animal, the dog, is born with a desire to please their masters. And you're saying that's a myth. Don't believe it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of truth that gets sort of morphed into something that's not true. Dogs do have a desire to follow a leader, but they do not have a desire to please you. They are looking for leadership, they're looking for structure, but their main interest is in self-preservation. They will look after their own interests before they'll look after yours. They are looking actually for pleasure, not pleasing. So the idea that a dog wants to please you is not quite right. They do want a leader. They want you to tell them that I am capable, I am in charge, I've got your back. They want to follow that, but they're not living their life looking for ways to please you. They don't see you smile and say, "Oh, I can die a happy dog."
Right. You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Guest on the program is the dog talk diva herself, Camilla Gray Nelson, author of the award-winning book Lipstick and the Leash, Dog Training a Woman's Way. You can get information at lipstickandtheleash.com and dogtalkdiva.com, some of the products that we'll be talking about during the course of the program. One other myth you have there, and I think so many of us believe this, the dog will protect his family because he loves them. Yeah, I hear the laugh, so you've answered that for me.
They protect property. They protect their territory. That's a holdover from the days of their beginnings when they did live in big packs and they had to protect the perimeter of their territory, their hunting area, their pack area, not because they loved each other, but because they needed to survive. And so a dog will protect the property, and sometimes they protect their owner, not because they love the owner, but because the owner is considered their property. So
Interesting.
when someone says to me, that comes to me with a dog aggression consult, a dog that just lunged out at someone who walked up to them and the dog was on leash, and they tell me the dog was just protecting me, I say, more likely your dog was possessing you, not protecting you. And we need to turn that around so that the dog learns that you are the one in charge with all the possessions, and that the dog needs to trust you as the stronger member so that they no longer need to possess you and protect their property.
You mentioned leashing. The leash aggression is something you talk about in the book. In fact, you say 8 out of 10 people who seek advice are concerned with leash aggression. Let's talk a little bit about that for a second and the main problem and how people can deal with that.
It is a huge issue, not necessarily discussed freely among dog owners. I think they might be a little embarrassed by it, but it's very real. And like I say, 8 out of 10 consults speak to me, come in my door because they have a hard time controlling their dog on leash. The dog is aggressive, more often to other dogs, sometimes to people. And one of the ways to deal with that, again, it goes back to who's in charge and what role does each of the members of your family pack play in this hierarchical relationship. Once you convince the dog, especially on leash, that you lead and they follow, the dogs almost breathe a sigh of relief. It's almost visible. The dog goes, "Oh, you mean I'm not responsible now for your safety and my safety and our safety? I can just sort of trail along a little behind you and you've got it all covered."
Right.
And you say, "Yes, darling, I've got your back." So one of the big things I talk about in the book and in my own consult business here in California is teaching what I call the leadership walk. And that is teaching your dog that whenever he's on leash with you, his toes must occupy a space slightly behind yours so that at least marginally you are physically in front of the dog. Because in their own culture, if you watch dogs as they figure out, who's the leader, who's the follower, who works in the mailroom and who's the CEO and who's in middle management, you will see them walking and running in an order. I have some fantastic photographs in the book that show dogs figuring out the hierarchy and honoring it. And once they understand that that dog is the leader and they follow, they just accept it, they enjoy it, and more importantly, they relax.
Our guest on This Week in America, Camilla Gray Nelson, author of the award-winning book Lipstick and the Leash, Dog Training a Woman's Way. You can go to the website lipstickandtheleash.com. The book is available at Amazon as well. Camilla owns and operates Dairy Dell Doggy Dude Ranch and Training Center, the fastest growing dog training facility in Northern California. Been doing this now for over 20 years. And I want to go back to one more myth. We'll wrap up on that and then talk a little bit about the influence your mother had on your life. And that, you hear so many people saying that, well, it's not, the dog is not really well behaved, but it's a puppy and it will grow out of that. And I'm just going to love them through this period. And I hear the chuckle again. So that answers my question for me.
It's so commonly held
Yes.
belief. The dogs will eventually get better when they get too old, too tired to move around. They'll finally give it up. But a puppy, especially at the age most people bring the puppy home, they are at an age where development, in social developmental terms, they are trying to figure out who makes the rules. Do I? Do you? What are they? What role do I play? And until and unless you establish boundaries of behavior for your puppy, they will test the boundaries by activity. They will be outrageous. They'll jump on you, they'll jump on the kids, they'll take things and run around and look at you and taunt you. And really what they're doing is saying, can you stop me? Is this okay? Is this not okay? I'm waiting for someone to say that's enough. And until and unless you do, the behaviors continue and they escalate. So they need structure from the very beginning. They don't grow out of it normally, and quite often those behaviors continue to get worse until finally someone says, that's enough, sweetheart. Don't allow it.
The book is Lipstick and the Leash, Dog Training a Woman's Way. Got a couple minutes left in the program. As I knew we'd be rapidly running out of time. So many things to talk about. Camilla, talk about the role of your mother and how she was a role model and really got you going in this direction.
Between my mother and Piggy the cow.
Yes.
On page 41, I really had some good mentors, and neither one were dogs, nor had they trained a dog. Certainly the cow hadn't trained a dog, and my mother never even owned a dog. But you know what my mother did? She controlled my dad, and I describe him as one tough puppy. What I learned, in all seriousness, from both of those mentors, my mom and my best friend, a cow, growing up, was that true strength was not about yelling, was not about confrontation or fighting. True strength was about quietly understanding what your rules were, quietly enforcing them. If my mom was enforcing rules with us children, I never remember her yelling, by the way, but we respected her greatly. And with my dad, who didn't necessarily want to be controlled, she knew that she got much further with pleasantries, kindness, and friendship than she ever would with arguing or embarrassment or challenge. And I learned a lot about managing difficult dogs from my mom because of her role model with my dad.
Well, and you talk in the book about the fact that egos, everybody likes praise, whether it's your children, your husband, the neighbor, the animals, and everybody has self-interest. And those are two basic things that have made you so successful in training dogs, two very simple concepts that also apply to relationships in the real world.
Right. When you always hear it's not the dogs, it's the people.
Yes.
So my job is much more than training dogs. My job is teaching owners how to continue that training with their dog and how to retrain the owners in managing their dog. So I use those techniques on the owners, not just the dogs. Everybody wants to know they're doing a good job. They're starting to get it right. That their feelings are validated, even though their feelings might be unfounded. to them, their feelings are real. And the same is true for the dog. So indeed, the power of praise cannot be understated, both with your dog and in your relationships.
Just about out of time. We've got about 30 seconds left. You talk about how to speak to a dog, and then you also talk about the mannerisms and the signals that those send, either right or wrong. Of course, all of this available in the book. How to speak dog. Just give me 30 seconds on how we actually can verbally communicate with the dog.
Speak softly, yell less, follow through, good eye contact, good posture. You know, the top dog is the one that stands more erect and more confident. Don't fidget. Don't do too much accommodating. That's a sign of weakness. And sweetly but surely get your message across. And what you say, be prepared to enforce.
Great advice for dealing with your dog or your employer. I can see that going both ways as we talk about that. The book is Lipstick and the Leash, Dog Training a Woman's Way. Our guest on the program has been Camilla Gray Nelson. The website is lipstickandtheleash.com. Of course, the book can be ordered there. Can also be ordered at Amazon very easily. And the other website to consider is dogtalkdiva.com. A lot of information there. I can order the book there as well, get product information. The book is illustrated. It's a very simple manual to use and to read. And we'll have Camilla back on more programs. There's much more to talk about. Camilla, thank you for joining us on This Week in America. It's been fun. Great to have you with us.
My pleasure. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you. You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Okay, I knew that was going to go by quickly.
Yes.